Hey everyone, I am just doing a little short video on Elizabeth Warren strategy. So, a lot of people have started tuning into the fact that Elizabeth Warren is the biggest threat to Bernie Sanders and to Tulsi. So, the combo couch pasta and I have been talking about it for a while, but a lot of people didn't want to go after Warren, especially in the Bernie side, because they wanted her to possibly be an ally. The reality is she was never one. She decided in 2016 that she was going to put her career before she was going to put doing the right thing for the movement. So now we're seeing her copy him in every way. We are seeing her take over his plans, and even some people in the Bernie campaign kind of propping her up as if she is the equivalent to Bernie, which she is not. So I'm doing a little video for you guys on Patreon, and maybe outside of that, is to say that we can't do that. I understand why the campaign has to do it. I understand why many people feel like this is the situation. But the reality is they're wrong, because she is the chosen one. She's the one that the media is lining behind. She's the one that the corporate Wall Street is lining up behind. She's the one that the Third Way and the Center for American Progress and all of these sort of centrist think tanks are lining up against or with. So when you see that happening, you have to anticipate that everybody else is going to eventually line up behind her. Joe Biden isn't as much of a threat as people like. Joe Biden is actually more of a punching bag for the Democrats now. He has way too much baggage to continue, and he's not going to win. So they're going to nominate Warren, and they're going to say that it's okay because she's progressive. And then when she loses to Donald Trump, they're going to say, well, look what happens when you go with a left candidate, when we know very well that Elizabeth Warren isn't really a leftist. She is center left. If in America, outside of America, she's probably right. She was a Republican to the age of 47, so there's no way. But my whole point in telling you this is so we are able to organize in a way that doesn't really have the Tulsi camp and the Bernie camp fighting each other. You can have disagreements. You don't have to love the other candidate, but your focus should be primarily on defeating the establishment and the establishment candidate, which happens to be Elizabeth Warren in this instance. And the organizing should work around that. For instance, differentiating between Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders. That should be number one, what people in the grassroots are doing, making sure you have all the answers when people ask you, but what about Elizabeth Warren? I have texts for that. I have forms for that. If you want them, please message me. Then it also, same with the Tulsi camp, differentiating between why Elizabeth Warren is a threat, why Tulsi is the actual progressive in the race besides Bernie, why we possibly need to look at that and see what happens with the Yang people and the Marianne Williamson people, and how we can use work with them also to coalesce behind an alliance, an anti-establishment alliance. Now, I know Yang isn't a progressive to many, but he is anti-establishment. He is not somebody of the establishment. He is somebody that is, bringing at the very least, ideas that none of the other candidates have brought forth, establishment candidates. And, depending on what happens once we get to the convention, then we can see, who we can line up against. To me, right now, it looks like Bernie Sanders has the biggest shot at defeating both Donald Trump and the primary, which is key. I think Tulsi can beat Donald Trump, but I like the way they're treating her and the way things are going. I don't know if I see her necessarily winning the primary, but I do see her going to the convention at the least. And so I think other candidates like Marianne will see what happens, and Yang, I think, is going to try to go pretty far from what I've seen. So I think we need to coalesce and combine our efforts to come after Elizabeth Warren, to differentiate her policy points, we can, bring up the Native American situation, and they don't like you to do that, and I understand why. But we can bring it up in the sense of her lack of integrity and being honest that she's not, and just using that. But there are more important things. Her ties to the insurance companies, which I will be going over even further in depth. Her ties to her funneling of the Senate campaign and how that's different than what Emma said, how, it matters because the money she was getting was from corporate CEOs of big companies. They were high dollar amounts. It was super PAC money. It was not like what Bernie had. To equate them is ridiculous, right? And then there's also the fact that her Medicare for All framework is kind of has a backed off, as well as the access to affordable health care terminology she used, as well as, like I said, that she's taking the money. Then there's her foreign policy record, which is very pro-Israel, very pro-war, in regards to Venezuela, in regards to several other instances. So bottom line with Elizabeth Warren, I just feel like she is essentially the candidate that is tricking some of us, and especially in the Bernie camp, into thinking that she is going to do anything for us, when the reality is she isn't. She's just going to do what, when you can't beat the system by taking its money, right? So I want us to coalesce behind this idea that we need to stand together and stand united against the establishment. And the establishment, unfortunately, includes Elizabeth Warren. We wanted her to be an ally. I really liked her. Things have become very clear, and she has pretty much said who she's going to be loyal to. So as far as that goes, that's that. And I want us all to try not to fight progressives, and to try not to fight with people who are anti-establishment, and try to stop seeing things as left Democrat or right Republican, but more so see it as what is necessary to win this argument, what is necessary for the American people, and what we can do to move forward and win. Because I highly doubt that any candidate is going to get 15.1+% of the delegates. There's so many candidates, and ideally, the Bernie camp, we're operating as if we are, we have to get everybody. We have to get everybody to vote for Bernie, and not even have to worry about the convention. But realistically, that's going to be very difficult with just the way the field is. And that's why they did it. That's why they're running so many candidates, right? So Elizabeth Warren, again, key. Do the research. Send me stuff. I'll send you guys things if you need them. We have our Bernie groups here doing the work. This is a grassroots. I want you guys to remember the campaign is busy. They have a lot focused on nationally. Also, some people disagree with Elizabeth Warren within the campaign. The grassroots, the movement happens bottom up, not top down. It is up to us to bring these things to light. It is up to us to hold our leaders accountable. It is up to us to lead the charge. And we're going to have to do it. And I'm very supportive of the people who've started, but we're going to have to continue those efforts and basically, just stop focusing on who's more progressive than the other of the actual progressives, and then focus on what we can do if we combine our efforts to defeat the establishment. People can't do this alone. Bernie can't do it alone. He said it many times. We're going to need to stand with him and Tulsi as they take on the establishment. Just notice one more thing I'm going to say before I go, that there are people that seem to be trying to get, and this isn't a conspiracy theory, this happens in every campaign, right? That are co-opting the campaigns and that are trying to stir trouble between each campaign of Bernie and Tulsi, and trying to get their supporters to fight each other. The reality is we're far more similar than we are different. There are differences. I live with a Tulsi supporter as a Bernie supporter. Foreign policy is their thing. My thing is domestic class war, policies that Bernie has. They do intertwine a lot of these issues that we differ in. we care, but they're different in importance. What is most important to a Tulsi supporter may not be most important to a Bernie supporter. For instance, foreign policy to a Tulsi supporter is extremely important. And also to a Bernie supporter, you're going to look at more so like the student loan debt, the Medicare for all, debt, medical debt forgiveness. You're going to look at more of these domestic issues, whereas Tulsi, it's end all wars, focus on election integrity, focus on protecting our whistleblowers, things of that nature. Ranked choice voting. There are different focuses, and I think that's actually a good thing, where one focuses, the other does not, and vice versa. They're a threat. Together, they are a threat, which is why you're seeing every sort of desire to push that sort of partnership to end, and you'll see the push towards a Bernie Elizabeth ticket or a Tulsi Biden ticket from the establishment. That's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and we can't afford either of those terrible situations, because Donald Trump, I believe, would win. We're going to have to fight hard to beat him in the general. It's not just going to be a walk in the park. People think like, oh, his approval rating. This impeachment process is ushering that more so. So thank you guys for watching, and yeah, just my thoughts on that. And thank you all for supporting our Patreon. Please like, share, and subscribe to The Couch. Tell your friends to watch us, and just thank you so much for your support. We're going to try to keep growing and going to as many events as we possibly can. Thanks for watching, guys. Much love. Convo out.